Yeah, the fan is not going tonight. It's not going tonight because it's a little chilly. So no fan. No fan tonight. There's a cat next to me in bed, but there's no fan. I was watching a bit of the Robbie Williams documentary on Netflix, and my my thinking was that I would be watching it with an eye towards the whole question of fame and celebrity and so forth, and I do think there's some interesting things to say about that, uh, which I'm going to reserve for another time. Tonight, what I wanted to talk about, just because it's fresh in my mind, having seen this video, or having seen uh, the first three episodes of this documentary series. I think it's a 5-part series. Let me make it clear. I didn't really know anything about Robbie Williams at all. I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a non-fan either. I just wasn't that aware of him. I knew that he existed, and I remember some songs of his from long ago, like around the turn of the millennium. I remember a couple songs of his, and I remember the video where he first strips off all his clothes, and then tears off his flesh and his muscles and tendons, and he's just until he's just a dancing skeleton. I remember liking that video and thinking it was really freaky and disturbing, and in a good way, in a way that was thought provoking. But I wasn't, the style of music wasn't really my thing, and so I was never really a fan. So I didn't really have any. I wasn't going on anything. I didn't have much prior knowledge going into watching this documentary, which is still, I guess I haven't finished it yet. But having finished watching episode 3, I wanted to comment on something that really struck me because I connected with it personally. Uh, um, what you see in this documentary, what gets revealed is that uh, Robbie, I'll just call him Robbie. I'll just be on a first name basis with him because we're best mates, you know. But Robbie has this thing about the British press and how the extent to which the tabloids are out to get him, and or at least he feels that is the case. And there's lots of stories about like where the paparazzis are hiding in the bushes, and they take unflattering pictures of him and say nasty things about him, and he talks about just how much he's come to loathe the British press, and because of that, how he doesn't feel that he's become alienated from his from the UK generally. He's on this massive world tour, and all the places that he's going in these other countries, people are loving him and are really into him, but he feels like back home, that they just want to sink their claws into him, or that they're just looking for him to fail in some way so they can pounce and just tear him to shreds. He has this he builds up this real uh, hatred and bitterness towards them, uh, because they seem to be so venomous and so hateful towards him. Um, but yet what strikes me is that he doesn't stop reading them. He doesn't stop uh, seeing what they're saying next. We see him, with the what is it, the sun or the mirror, uh, you know, one of those rags, and sees the latest thing that they're saying about him, or some snooty British, presenter on the BBC is saying something about how much they despise him, or whatever. And they show several things that kind of lets you know that, like, the highfalutin, like, there's this there's this attitude, like, that I've come to associate with the Guardian. I'm not from the UK, but I've grown to hate the Guardian myself. Not that they've ever attacked me personally, but they attack just about everything that I hold dear. Um, so and they attack the the kind of I don't know, ideas that I embrace, and I mean, if and so it has a you know it ends up feeling personal, even though it's not personal, like it is with Robbie in this documentary, where it's intensely personal. But yet he keeps reading these tabloids, and seeing the latest mean thing they have to say about him, and it really gets to him to such an extent that uh, he, in the midst of this massive tour, he is doing a couple of shows in Leeds in the UK. He's done all of these shows outside, in other countries, across Europe, and just had tons of success. Although he's also been struggling. He's had like injuries, uh, like of various kinds that have, and he also has just this, just seems to always be perpetually thinking, like, I'm like, he feels nervous, and he feels like he's unworthy, and that he struggles with feeling like an imposter, and all this kind of stuff. Feels very ambivalently about his fame, because he's a very flamboyant performer, and somebody who, you would think, who seems really cocky, and but he also has this, I don't know what it would be called. I mean, he says it was diagnosed as depression, but I don't know what it is, except just personal demons, that are eating away at him. And I don't know if the documentary does a great job at telling us exactly what those are. Um, and that kind of uh, connects with the whole question of, how he was chosen for fame in the first place, which, again, is something I'll cover elsewhere. But there are various things that are left really unaddressed, unanswered. But all that we're given to know, is that he's just this nervous Nelly. He's always talking about how he's about to fall apart, and he's feeling terrible, and he thinks he's just going to blow it, and but he always seems to come through, and do fine, and he's a great performer, um, and entertains these huge stadium-sized crowds, and everybody there is in ecstasy after his performance. He's just he really brings it, and he's very good at what he does. Um, but he's always talking like, "Oh, I'm about to collapse. I'm at the end of my rope. This is it. I'm uh, and when he returns to the UK, he's just feeling like, I don't want to be here. They hate me here, and the press hates me, and therefore, he the it feels like my whole home country's against me, which is, of course, ridiculous because he's got millions of fans who are buying his records and have made him a huge star in his home country. But he somehow feels that he's in enemy territory. It's sort of like the prophet is without honor in his own country. It's kind of a variation on that. Even though he's not a prophet, he's just a pop singer. But anyway, so it all builds up to this climactic moment where he's going to be performing 2 nights at this concert in Leeds in the UK, and it's going to be televised, so there'll be millions of people watching at home. In addition to the however like 60,000 or however many people are going to be there in person at this massive stadium in Leeds where the concert is being performed, and he is legitimately about to crack. He is coming apart at the seams, and just the documentary really plays it up like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen. Something terrible is going to happen. Something shocking is going to happen. He's just going to go on stage and just freak out. He's going to go on stage and just start babbling in some indecipherable language, and or I don't know, start crying hysterically, or just or maybe fall into the orchestra pit, or just something really crushingly embarrassing and awful, humiliating is going to happen to him. That's what you're led to think. He has to do 2 nights, and he makes it through the first night, and the documentary makes it seem like, but what he says is that before he took the stage, he started having a nervous breakdown, and the nervous breakdown just continued throughout the show, and he felt like everybody there knew that he could read his mind and knew that he was cracking up, and and afterwards he just felt like, that's it. I am absolutely done. I can't do another show. I can't do this again tomorrow. And he woke up in the morning and told a couple people, I've got to cancel the show for tonight. I don't have it in me. I just can't do this again. And then his manager just convinces him, look, if you cancel the show for tonight, it's going to be catastrophic, and we're going to lose a lot of money, and it's going to be terrible for everybody. I don't know whether that was really true or not. Like that seemed a little like maybe that was a bit of manipulation on his manager's part. Like surely that they could have canceled the shows get canceled without without there being, but the way he was talking, like, it's going to be the end of your career. It's going to be the end. Everybody's going to lose money. Um, and it'll just be a disaster that none of us will recover from. And so he just feels, whatever the case may be, he feels that he has to go back on stage again and do another show, even though he just barely made it through the last one. And so he does it. He does it again, um, and just barely gets through it. And just we see him, once the show is over, he just staggers, uh, staggers off and collapses, and he's just like Rocky after going 15 rounds against Apollo Creed. It's like, he's just a bloody, beat up stump of a man. And then you watch, like, so that was the presentation. That was the way that it was made to look like, oh, he's really struggling throughout these two shows, which he was. I believe that he was truly struggling. But then I went on YouTube and looked up his shows in Leeds, because I mean it was a big event. They were televised, and he was a big star. Um, and so I watched, a few, not the whole thing, but just like a few minutes, like watched him perform this song, watched him perform a few minutes of that song, and I saw, like, he looked fine. He looked like he was doing fine, and nobody could tell anything was wrong. And nobody knew. I think until all this is revealed in this Netflix documentary, I don't think anybody knew that he was on the brink of collapse. But he hid it so well, because again, I guess he was just, I don't know. It's like the knack that some performers have of just being able to just get up and, the show must go on. And they do everything, and it looks like he's having a great time. It looks like doesn't look like there's any problem, but yet I don't think it's all made up. I don't think it's all just a manufactured drama. I think it was real. But I guess what I came away from all of this thinking was, he would never have been in this state of mind in the first place if he just ignored what his detractors said. If he just decided not to read the tabloids anymore. If he just didn't pay any attention to what they were saying about him on the telly, or wherever, and just paid attention to his fans and the massive support and love that he got from his huge fan base. He could ignore all these bitter, miserable rock journalists, writing for NME, and and the British press is awful. That, I mean, I have seen enough of the UK to know that is definitely true. That it's not that I think the press here is wonderful either, but I know that they're really awful. They're really terrible. Really really out for blood. And for some reason he got on their shit list. I guess because he was popular, because people just thought that he was a I don't know, a pretty boy, and that just singing vacuous pop songs, and that, it was just like just this snobbish kind of, uh, like a lot of performers who are really famous get a lot of detractors, or get a lot of them who are really popular, and uh, who maybe are seen as lowbrow, or whatever. They get a lot of detraction from those who the kind of people, the kind of rock critics, who just think you should be listening to Elvis Costello, or instead. I like Elvis Costello, but you get my point. Um, so that just made me think, and that's let me bring my thoughts to a close here. That just made me think, like, why? Like even with the stuff I was talking about in the last video that I recorded, where I was complaining about how the chattering class, the movie critic types, the supposed intellectual types, have to put some disclaimer about Fight Club now, and that, oh well, of course we distance ourselves from those awful, uh, you know uh, those awful, whatever you call them, alt-right incel types, those manosphere types, those red pill types. We all know that they're bad, they're awful, that they're not to they're to be dismissed out of hand. Their ideas aren't even to be considered. And when I read that stuff, of course, it has an effect. It has a very alienating effect on me, because I'm one of those people. I'm one of the people that they're just saying, oh well, he's just a miserable, awful person, and he's just to be dismissed. His ideas are to be dismissed out of hand, and I I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't care if they considered my ideas and found them wanting. But the whole idea that he's just beneath contempt. Uh, um, we're just going to decide that he's subhuman, essentially, and we'll do our best to ruin them all. Right? We'll do our best to just destroy their careers, and all of that, all of that vitriol, all of that hatred, all of that bile. You know, well, I think it's best just to not pay attention, because, I mean, who cares what they think? They're I mean, they're in their own world. They're in their bubble, where they're all, you know, uh, you know, mutually masturbating themselves, and others who think the same way that they do, and congratulating themselves for being good and righteous people, and they're the miserable ones. Why should I pay attention to them? Why should why should you pay it? Why should we pay attention to them? Um, of course, you don't want to cut yourself off from criticism. You know, uh, you don't want to cut yourself off from. You don't want to become um, insulated from, and only be open to people who are going to felicitate you. but but obviously, they've shown themselves to be unwilling unwilling I mean, they have sworn hatred against you and against others like you. And when I say you, I mean me. Um, it's me talking to myself there. So why pay attention to them? Yes, I'm making it about me. I'm connecting with this Robbie Williams video and making it about me. But I mean, I do see how it connects and how we have this desire to please people, to please the critics, to please the ones who have for some reason been set up as the arbiters of what's proper and what's decent, and you know they don't. Who cares about them? Why should we even pay any attention to them? I mean, it's one thing if you can just sort of be calloused towards them, but if reading them is just if reading them is just going to have the same effect on you that it had on Robbie Williams, that if it's just going to make you more miserable and feel more alienated and so forth, then just like leave it unread. you know uh, so that's what I'm going to do. That's what I pledge to do from now on. Just not going to I'm not going to pay attention to them unless I'm tearing them a new one. And if like I have, if there's some chance for me to do that, if there's some chance for me to just tear them to shreds, uh, because what they're saying is so transparently shallow and stupid, and yet they think they're the smartest people in the world. They just think they think they're the bright ones. They think they're the brights. Fuck them. Fuck them. That's my thought. That's my final thought of the night. Good night.